Hey there, John. It's Wayne D. Thanks for sending in your swings again. It's been a couple months since you visited down in Florida, and according to your email, you've been working away at it, trying to get the takeaway better. We always saw how you have a tendency to hoist up the right shoulder when you start back. So we were trying to relax that right arm and get the trunk started in the swing without the left arm rolling away. So slow it down here. Check it out. All right. Let's go back to the regular speed view here, because what I wanted to show you is the right arm as you get set. So right here, as you turn the elbow outward, you're internally rotating the shoulder joint up here, and when the elbow locks and the arm tucks in, that's externally rotating. So one of the problems that we always see is your tendency to push the upper right arm inward and put the elbow right up against your side, and then as the backswing starts, the left arm has a tendency also to tighten up, and because the right arm is so straight, in your case, the left arm will roll away to start the swing. So what I wanted to show you as you watch this is that from the last time that you bend your arm out, you could take it away from this position with your trunk. That would be great, but watch what the arm is going to do prior to moving the club. It's going to do that. It's going to come right back. It's going to come right back into you and stay right against you when you start back. And as we watch it from down the line at regular speed, what we're going to look for here is, does the left arm, how much is it going to roll out to start the swing? So what we see is a raising of the handle. Now to me, this is all mostly caused by the upper right arm pinching itself in, externally rotating inward, and combining that with a left arm that's rolling out, flattens the shoulders a little bit. Let's go to the slow swing so we can pick at them a little more. So we're going to see that the right arm trying to remember to bow out. So we're thinking in terms of, at address, I would call that home plate. So we want the upper arms not locked in. We want them hanging straighter down, which means the elbow joints are bent more so. And what's interesting is when players do this and go from a very locked in triangle here, this is taught fairly consistently as a good way to set up. You know, for some people, when you note the pattern that happens in the backswing like yours, that setup is causing problems. So again, you want to think of bowing your arms outward, internally rotating both shoulders, and getting that home plate look at address, because we want to encourage the upper trunk to start the backswing movement and not the hands squeezing the club, the left arm rolling out, and the right arm staying tight to your side. And why is this all important? Is because by the time your right arm motion gets toward the top of the swing, the arm doesn't have a whole lot of depth, and then it tries to increase depth late, and that's where you get that scapular retraction and your shoulder blade pulls backwards and pins your right arm back. So let's take a look. So again, there's the right arm trying to remember to bend, and then it tucks, and then you take it back. And what happens when that happens is that. So again, the big idea here for you is you've got to be aware of where's the handle, and when you take this thing back, notice how the handle in short order is no longer in between your arms. If we had taken this away with the arms more internally rotated at the shoulders and the left wrist maintaining its bend in the back of the hand, the club at this point would still be pointed inside of your arms. You could still see it. So one of the things that you could do would be to stick a T in the grip and see if you could get the grip to continue to point up between your arms like it is at address as you take it back. Alright, so let's put the lines in there again. So it's things that are happening before you get to the top that are making it very difficult for you not to slightly steepen the club in transition. So we got to remember everything is moving, and as it's arriving, there is no set point where a backswing ends and a downswing begins, because it's a blended motion. The lower body is moving to initiate if the sequence is good. So if we're heading in the wrong direction as we get to the top, then the motion that's caused by changing direction with the pelvis is going to do things that maybe you don't like up here. So two things here at left arm parallel that we want to do. First of all, we want to get the hands deeper, and we want to get the shaft more upright. So we got to keep working on trying to get the takeaway. Your hands have to go through the circle here. You cannot have that grip rolling out like this. Now the club head used to be a lot more under you, so this is getting better. So at left arm parallel, so if we look at the progression, we went from the shaft plane of 57 and we went up to 68 at P3. So we want to reduce that number, and we want to get it over here. So you can see the hands need to be probably 2 to 3 inches deeper across you. So this would set the hands in front of the right armpit instead of right in front of the sternum. And we also want the shaft to be at the ball or a little slightly vertical at that point and not laid off flat like it is here. So with the right arm pinched in front of you, the hands definitely in front of you, and the club laid off, the rest of the motion is going to be you trying to get that right arm a little bit more depth, and then as the club works its way up onto plane, it's gonna, that shoulder retraction is going to take it across the line. Now from here you could do more forearm twisting and try to aim the club over to the left, but I think if we can keep working on this start of the swing, it's going to be easier to plane the club. And another thing that we see with your swing all the time is when that motion pulls you out here away from the ball, you have a hard time getting more right hip depth, so it kind of pulls everything forward a little bit. Now you're also doing a little better here. The knees are a little there and the butt's slightly away, but not bad. But like you said, you can just see it. When the club is steepening, when it's not shallowing enough to get behind your hands, it's going to tip, in your case, most of the time, slightly outside. And like you said, that's a playable slight fade, but we want to do a little better with that. So let's watch the front side here. So good stability in the lateral side of this. Just enough head movement there. I like the load. And we are getting better with this. Is all improving. This is getting better. That right shoulder pullback is not as great. It's not leaning your upper body quite as forward. So your hips are having a better time of leading the movement. It's the right arm issue that's keeping the hands back. So in order to move those guys up, we need the right arm to be more adducted forward. But that's very difficult to do when you get, it's already tucked at P3, and then by the time you get to P4, this right shoulder is pulling backwards. And as you come down, how are you going to get the right arm not to feel like it's out this way too long? So we can't really get it forward enough, and so the approach is a little bit wide, not quite enough forward lean to really strike the iron shots the way you would like. Alright, so again, the concentration points here is let that right arm relax at address. When you take it back, we do not want anything pulling up and away, because we just want to rotate that upper trunk. We want to keep the hands in the circle, in the space here, so they'll feel like they come more inward. The club will feel like it stays more outward. Left wrist will stay cupped, and the right arm, if it's more bent, it can travel more up your side, away from your side, and deeper. So again, left arm parallel. Do some drills where you just take it to here and point that club more up in the air. And then I think as you maintain width in the backswing and you stop pulling that shoulder back, that we can get the club to shift from a steeper backswing to a flatter initial downswing. Then we won't cut across it. All right.